So, welcome to another episode of the Blerd Talk podcast. While Kenny constantly shows his tattoos. Uh,
It's okay. Don't let Blunted get in the
eh,
chat.
eh, wait, what?
He'll have words for you. If Blunted gets in the chat, he'll have words for Kenny and his tattoos.
So, today's topic is going to be trauma profiteering. Last week we did poverty profiteering.
Mhm.
Not the same thing, but it can be in the same under the same umbrella for sure. Trauma profiteering. Examples are most recently the Jeffrey Dahmer Netflix series. Uh, I don't know if anybody's seen the tweets of I guess the who's watched that first of all. Kenny, you watched the
I
Jeffrey
haven't
Dahmer?
watched it.
Is that it yet?
Yeah, the look on
No.
Kenny's face says it all.
So
Yeah.
apparently this is one scene in the series. I didn't watch it either, but one of the scenes in the series it was a black girl or a woman in the courthouse, and she's like ranting and raving about whatever the context of the court, I mean of the trial was, right? So the guy who is related to that woman that's being portrayed, he went on a whole rant on Twitter about how Netflix is capitalizing and profiting off of their trauma. Um, Another one example is the Emmett Till movie that's coming out. That was
I
a
didn't
very
know about
traumatic.
that actually.
Yeah, they're coming out with a movie. I only see it on
Oh wow.
YouTube for ads on YouTube. One of the most vocal uh, trauma profiting movies was Wakanda Forever, the new Black Panther movie, and people are saying Marvel and Disney are capitalizing on Chadwick Boseman's death and using his image to make profit. Uh, Kenny, you look like you when I mentioned the Jeffrey Dahmer, you look like you disagreed.
The thing is that the thing is about that is that I don't think uh people say a lot about profiting off of trauma and stuff like that and everything like that, but they don't recognize the trauma in them damn selves also, which is kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like the Jeffrey Dahmer, that was a whole that they basically shine. I didn't know a lot about the person, but this show, like when I watched the first episode, I was like, holy shit, bro, this dude was doing all that. That's wild. So it's just showing, like, for me, it's like a documentary.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Yeah.
seeing like what's going on, and this is like what how the XYZ and how this person was and everything like that. So it's like I'm seeing it more of a documentary and a knowledge sense of like, hey, there are people out like this,
Yeah, be aware.
be aware. And it's like for the Emmett Till thing that's coming out, I didn't even know that was the thing that was there. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that needs to be talked about more in general. So them doing a movie or whatever it is on it, it will shine a lot of light on that. That's basically like going back to the time when I think I was in Kuwait when this came out. It was a show about the
Oh, you're
boys,
talking about cuties.
huh?
Are you talking about cuties?
Oh, fuck
Are you
that
talking
shit.
about cuties?
It was the show.
He said, "Fuck
it was
that."
the show. It was the show about the. See, I'm gonna feel bad because I don't remember it, but it's just too much going on anyway. It was a show about the five black males that was falsely accused by that one white woman.
Oh, I know you. Wait, was this in? It was based in New York or something?
Yeah, something. It was something like that, but they
Yeah,
had what is that considered profiting off of people's trauma?
I
But it's just
never.
like, yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't hear that about
yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly. I'm just like, no, that shed some light, and we got to hear the story of what happened with those boys, and then they talked about it after, uh, after about it, and I was like, yeah, that was it showed what happened, the history of what happened, and everything else. And the funny thing is that uh, Black Panther thing is made by a black guy for one, get that straight. So and it's like, yeah, Marvel's putting it out, but they allowed them to continue it and just not be like, it's over because because Chadwick Boseman died. So it's like they get to honor his death in the movie.
Right.
It's just like everybody's just putting labels on fucking everything nowadays, and it's just like, okay, there are some things that they that do profit off people's traumas. Of course, there are some things that probably do that, but films stop. Like
So
the only time I can say is when they do, if they do, and we don't have the full facts on a lot of things, is if somebody falsely put something up there. But the thing is, if a person's not willing to talk about it or anything like that, the person's just gonna have to throw whatever bullshit they got in there just to fill in some gaps. And that's the problem with people not sharing with whatever and talking about everything, past traumas or anything else. You have to throw in some crap in just to fill in the gap.
I wonder where this came from as far as the profiteering off of someone's trauma. Like, it didn't seem, because there's been plenty of movies based on like slavery, right?
Yeah.
And that would never, or from what I know, that never has been attached to trauma profiteering. Because I mean, though some of those movies are made by white directors or people who was backing the project itself is white. So it's like, are you going to say that white people are profiting off of black trauma? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of a weird space.
We okay. We cited a lot of examples, like a
And the
lot of
thing,
very different examples here. Maybe we
one
should
last thing. One last thing.
there. Go for it.
Black people aren't the only ones that go through trauma, and people need to realize that.
Yes. Yeah. So okay, let's actually gonna split these up a bit because some of these like are definitely profiteering, and some of them they're kind of just movies. Like so the Jeffrey Dahmer. Okay, let's start with the Jeffrey Dahmer thing. I legitimately knew nothing of this man except that he was a serial killer before this became a thing. Like literally nothing other than the fact that he was a serial killer.
Mm.
Once it comes out, I'm kind of just like, okay, what's this about? What's happening? And I learned all this shit about him that I had no fucking idea. Now, in some sense, you can kind of ask yourself, like, okay, as a documentary, past knowing he's a serial killer, how much of this information is like crucial? Right? Like, how much of this do you need to actually just have out to the public, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, and this is where like, so this is something that's always kind of bothered me in a lot of like those documentaries or like crime shows when they reenact stuff. So a lot of crime shows, like they reenact like certain things. It's mostly just like the murder or like how they met and stuff like that, and they just have like that story going. The way Netflix did, like I don't know if you guys saw that scene, the scene that they're talking about, where the woman has a meltdown because Jeffrey Dahmer fucking killed and ate her brother.
Yeah.
Scene.
I think that's what I was referring to.
Yeah. So there's the scene and there's the court footage, and I've seen both. And I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Like both are hard to watch. And it's one of those things where I'm like, I can genuinely understand how this woman seeing this on TV is like, this is fucked, and she's just reliving. Because like it's tough because there may be that argument that it was insensitive of them to like portray like her because she's having a meltdown. Like she's having a meltdown in that courtroom. Like she is like she's losing it.
Mm-hmm.
And she's clearly going through something, like, in that moment. And to maybe like dramatize it might feel like one of those things where like it still rubs some people the wrong way. Maybe I would say like something they could have done is like instead of having it reenacted, they could have maybe played the actual footage so that people understand that like this is real, like this is an actual thing that happened. So with the Jeffrey Dahmer situation, I'm not completely convinced it's profiteering. I just think they try to inform people in a way that like shows that they themselves are kind of misinformed, right? Like there's this thing of like they present things in like ways that people didn't respond well to. They marked it as like an LGBT movie, and like people like really weren't about that. Though like that can be debated whether or not that was like a smart choice or not.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of sort of just like audience agnostic shit that they did. Wait, Kenny, I think you're muted.
No, I said
no. Yeah, he was just mouthing it out. He wasn't.
Yeah.
Y'all know The Conjuring, right?
The Conjuring? Yeah.
The Conjuring movies, they say they're based off true events, whatever the fuck it is. The people are real or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And they went through a lot of stuff, doing some shit, mentally, mental stuff and everything like that. They still made those movies. Are those profiting on people's trauma?
So that was actually another question I had. Is like, what about those movies that are like based on true events,
Yeah,
and they depict people. Let's take like an example that's more mild,
people are white.
or people like, okay, like let's say like people who say they were adopted by aliens, right? Like a lot of those movies put those people in like not so great of a light. Like a lot of times they make fun of them, right? And it's like I guess like we're kind of okay with it because like I guess in a way we just don't even believe them, right? But like, isn't that maybe insensitive to someone who like believes that like, dude, they were fucking abducted and like raped and probed by an alien, and then you make a movie where they look like a loon, you know? And is that profiting off of
That's
someone's trauma,
That's
right?
trauma, and that's why where it
Yeah.
goes back to the fact that black people are not the only. It only comes up, and it only comes up when it's people of color. Is when it comes
Yeah.
Yeah, I
like
agree. I believe that.
when it's somebody else, they're just like, that's just some white people, and that's the.
Yeah.
See, I was talking to Alex about this earlier. Is that we speak out so much about so many things, it's going to get to the point where people are just not going to fucking listen.
It's
I
already
mean,
kind of at that
yeah,
point. A
but
lot
it's
of people
probably
don't
at that
listen.
case now, right?
It's just like you're just getting
Yeah.
tired of it. I'm just like, bro, like, so it's just.
So
I mean, this. Hmm?
go ahead, John.
I mean, this goes into that whole idea of like how big can you make community before like individuals stop mattering, right? Like you see this in big cities where it's like a lot of people in big cities like they're fucking borderline sociopathic because like there's so many people they don't give a fuck about people. And,
Mm-hmm.
they're rude and like they have no patience and like like dating in some of those cities is terrible because like everyone always feels replaceable and stuff like that, and like it's very sort of like humans become cheap because like when you live in like some cities like New York, for example, it's like it's fucking overpopulated,
Mm-hmm.
and so people become cheap to people, and so there's kind of this question of like when we made the world global as we did we maybe make the communities too big? Because like sometimes like I'll see news about stuff that like I genuinely not only do I have no power or influence over, it also has like next to no power or influence over my life, except the fact that the news can make me feel bad,
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes like you'll see people who it's like they're like they get really invested in these things too, and like they put all this energy into like stuff that like they can't actually affect, right? Like it's even a prayer. It's like give me the strength to change the things I can change, the patience to let go of things I can, and the wisdom to know difference. I think like when we made our communities like so massive, we kind of forgot that part where it's like distinguishing the things that you can and cannot affect.
Mm.
Like it's like to some extent there's a little bit of just like this is not your fight, and in a sense of like you literally can't do anything about this, you know.
Yeah.
But
So
the news still reaches us.
can you? But can you end uh trauma profiteering? Like, is there a way to stop this from happening, or is there a way to acknowledge that that's not the goal of these movie film studios and or
So,
whoever?
well, that's another thing, right? It's like so for the Jeffrey Dahmer thing, did they say that their objective was entertainment or that it was information?
From
Because
okay,
if
so here's what I believe they could have did with that, right? So Jeffrey Dahmer he's known. But I was kind of like in the same boat as you. Like I knew of him. I knew
yeah,
that
well, you've heard the name.
I knew the glasses he wore because I wear glasses, so I just knew. But so I just knew about that part. But as far as the extent of what he did, I didn't know.
Yeah, that's
And so
exactly how I felt about
and so being that, I guess I can see why people felt like it was more of a entertainment aspect because they had Evan Peters play as him. Evan Peters is a phenomenal actor, right?
it.
So if they wanted to do it as a documentary, I guess they could have just did a documentary. But I'm guessing people already done documentaries, so they want to do it differently. I'm guessing that's what the problem is because they did it more of as a show for entertainment purposes, and so now they reenacting people's traumatic experiences or like the courtroom scene. Like that was the one that got highlighted the most from what I saw on Twitter and just in social media in general. And then now you got people taking Jeffrey Dahmer and they dressing up as him as Halloween. They're making TikToks where they're like, "Hey, if you join my live, I'm gonna dance like Jeffrey Dahmer." Like I don't know if you've seen it, but people are running away
No,
with this
but
shit.
This is also the thing, though. It's like TikTok is just cringe. Like, do you remember 4chan?
It sounds familiar.
4chan was like this like internet. It was like the Reddit of like fucked up shit,
Mm-hmm.
basically. Where it's like if you wanted to be inappropriate, like you went to 4chan, and like you would just say the wildest, cringiest shit. Like you just wild it out on 4chan. Dude, TikTok is a lot like that. Like whenever something becomes like a TikTok trend or whatever, like what was it? Cooking chicken with NyQuil or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it's the place where this shit happens. Like if the offense comes from the fact like TikTok people are running with something and making it fucked up and weird and uncomfortable, then I'm gonna throw this whole case out. Like that's just TikTok being TikTok. Like we know TikTok is toxic as fuck. Like it's
Oh
like
yeah,
stop
definitely.
giving it attention and they'll stop. Like
Yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like TikTok is like the inappropriate kid that's doing it for attention. It's like look, either give him help or just ignore him and they'll stop. But like don't go like, oh my god, that's disgusting. That's like you're giving into it. You
Mm-hmm.
know?
I'm back. We figured it out. We fixed it, boys. All right.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
double
God.
monitors online.
But yeah, I got it. So but where it all start from, it's a generation, bro. Like
Yeah.
back in the days, it wasn't really a thing like as a trauma thing, like all that.
Alex looks so happy. He is just
Hey,
geeked
bro,
up over there.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
The
No, I'm sorry, but
Glee.
go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but go ahead. I just want to make note of that before.
Yeah,
Should we give the audience
it's
context for
just
what's happening here?
everything new that has been coming up is just constant. Like honestly, like everybody says these kids are the future. We cannot let these
Let
motherfuckers
them be the
continue
future.
with shit
Yep.
like this. It is ridiculous.
Like,
Like the Me Too movement literally got, but like when that Amber Heard shit happened, that shit fucking that movement is about to be in the water. And now
Yeah.
Angelina Jolie is going on Brad Pitt saying that he did physical. If that shit's a lie too, done. That's it. It's over.
they lose all credibility. But
Yeah, but
like, imagine being a family member of the victims of Jeffrey Dahmer, and on Halloween, you see a little kid dressed up as that person.
well, the
Dog,
thing is,
that's
people dress up as Michael Myers.
yeah. But
Yeah,
okay,
but
so the
Michael Myers
difference,
doesn't actually
No,
kill
no,
yeah,
no,
people.
no.
Michael Myers is
He's not
fictional
an
though.
actual
He's
serial
fictional.
killer.
That's cool. It's not a real life person. But the thing is, kids don't know the difference from scary. They see that shit
Well,
as scary.
their parents do. The parents should take control of that.
It's just like we already, I already spoke
We
my word
established
on
this.
what I think
Yeah.
about the parents of this generation in general. Trash.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
Old
it's
news.
we got Michael Myers. People be letting kids dress up as that jank. Oh, here's shank. And some kids going out dressing as a chainsaw take Leatherface. That nigga was real.
Definitely, yeah.
So
So
that's
I
a
think
good example. That's actually a great example. How do the families of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre
you
feel
don't
about
hear,
that?
you don't. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. The trauma don't exist for those families, but it's just something that you just don't hear of. Like, okay, so Jeffrey Dahmer murdered more than just black people, right?
Asian,
Didn't,
black,
didn't he
Right. So
murder
he, like,
like
whoever
60
he was
people?
interested in, he got.
hurt.
So
Yeah.
but the thing that got highlighted was the young woman in the courtroom.
And the black boy.
Yeah. And so that got highlighted. And like I said on Twitter, those are the ones, or that scene in particular is the one that the guy, I guess he was related, the cousin of the woman. He was like, this is like, he went on a rant. Like, it was like a thread of him complaining to Netflix about it. And it's kind of like, not saying he doesn't have a right to be upset, but what about, like you said, Leatherface?
Not even other victims, the Asian boys' parents, everything, other like that, everything. Like I said, it only comes into effect when it's just people with like black people, and it's just like, the thing is that our culture needs to realize that we're not the only ones on Earth.
Yeah. Or
There's a lot of people that think that they're the only ones that's suffering on Earth. I'm like, no, you're not. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
you got
that's
it bad.
America as a
You
whole,
got it
though.
bad, but you ain't got it bad as some of these other motherfuckers out there.
Yeah, but that's America. That's like the story of like how America feels about itself. Like all of America is like this. It's like somehow like you have it worse, even though like literally like a little bit down the equator, there's people who have it like so much worse. You know, it's like we fucking share a border with some of them, and some of it we're responsible for.
Mm.
Like a lot of shit on the Mexican border, that's us. You know, like that's us being the asshole. You know, but okay, fuck. I had a thing about the. Oh right, okay. So let's talk about the whole like Michael Myers versus Jeffrey Dahmer thing because that's kind of a okay. Um, here's this thing with serial killers specifically. I don't know about other cultures because like in Haiti, like it's really not a thing. But that whole thing of like people being obsessed with serial killers and like in a weird way like worshiping them. And like there's serial killers that get married after like was it there was one I think was famous for it. Was it Manson? Where like he specifically was the guy that like killed women and then he got married while he was in jail to one of his fans of like his murder. Of like his murders, right?
Man, people are hella weird, man.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And the thing is that like fuck, like what about like those people? Because I have to imagine like so when I first heard about the Jeffrey Dahmer documentary, it wasn't from like the news and like the scandal. It was a friend of mine who like she's super into like her favorite show before Jeffrey Dahmer was You. You know that show about like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
stalker
yeah.
guy that
Yeah, I know
is
you.
yeah, you know. And
Kenny, you
you know,
look
she was
confused.
I don't know what
oh
that show is, bro. I stopped watching that.
okay, basically, it's like Netflix has like a lot of like shows about serial killers that like are considered sexy. Like the guy from You is like fat material for girls who are into serial killers.
Yeah,
And
basically.
yeah, and that's like an entire demographic. That's like when you make a movie about a hot serial killer, like you're gonna make money. Like people are gonna watch that shit. You know, and a part of me is kind of just like, did that whole Jeffrey Dahmer situation come about because Netflix was like, well, you did really well, and you was about like if when you think about it, like do you know like the plot points of you? Do you?
Huh? I'm
No,
sorry.
he's asking me. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
do you
Yeah,
guys
I
know
know the.
like the
Yeah,
plot?
I've kind of watched it. I know. I
Dude,
definitely know of it.
the guy is like severely fucked up. Like if he wasn't hot, like that show would be scandalous. Like he's a really fucked up guy, and
Twinders,
it's
Twinders,
Twinder.
Twinder.
Twindler. That's another thing that's going on people's trauma. People have
Yeah.
120. Nobody talked about that. You know why? Because they was
No, go ahead and say it. Put
I said it, Caucasian.
they was Caucasian.
from the Caucasus Mountains.
Yeah, they was from there. But
Caucasus
those
Mountains.
girls, yo, 125,000 in debt, 225,000 in debt. Bro, that chick said she almost is like she was driving the car with her mom and she just thought about just driving the bitch off the cliff. Like
That's wicked.
Yeah, but there's a difference in that. They chose that. Like,
Yeah, they chose
no
that.
one chose to be murdered.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
No,
no,
Wait,
no,
he
but
said
it's
no one chose to be murderers.
still a trauma.
no one chose to be murdered.
Still trauma, but I'm
Yeah,
saying they had a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, they had a lot of opportunities to get out. They did. They did.
Oh,
But you know what
times.
the
No,
thing,
they had a lot of
interesting,
times. That's
the
true.
interesting
That's
thing
true.
is about this is that the thing is that people need to learn. And people still haven't learned this shit at all. Because it's still fucking happening. People need to learn because this person has a beautiful and glorious life does not mean flop to they fucking ass. They gonna murder your ass.
Pretty privileged.
Like it's pretty privileged. Like bro,
Oh.
dog, I went to Dubai. A lot of those girls could have been hemmed up just because of $50,000 flying to Dubai, murdered. You ain't get to spend that $50,000. So it's just like, yo, stop, get some help.
Get therapy.
And when you do have trauma, go talk to a therapist. Just don't let that shit mull over. Because we just watched a documentary about the.
Yeah.
This is another thing of trauma. Is it profit off of trauma? I don't know, but it was a documentary about the lady that postpartum. She killed 3 of her babies.
Yeah, I heard about that too.
Yeah, it's like, but dog, that shed light on what.
So
Was
So
fun,
I
yeah,
don't
so.
know. I don't know if you heard when I was telling Jock. So about the like, I'm gonna use Jeffrey Dahmer again as a reference point. So the show that the recent show was made with Evan Peters, who is a well-known, wonderful
Oh yeah,
actor, right?
I heard
So
that.
I'm thinking to try to rationalize the whole concept of it is like I'm thinking because an actor who like somebody who's known to act and do whatever was used as a central point for the series, that's why it's seen as entertainment. So versus a documentary where it's just detectives just talking about it or victim families just talking directly to us about it, I'm thinking that was the difference in why they use that as trauma profiteering. As far as the Chainsaw Massacre, that was actors. I don't know if it's known actors, but that
They
was
were not.
actors made as an entertainment purpose too. But like we've been saying this whole entire time, that I haven't heard anything about those families crying out and saying, "Hey," because they made several of those movies. Like how many
Dude,
of
it's
those
a
they
whole
made?
There's
franchise.
only one. There's only one event of that happening. They just kept going, bro. Like
Yeah, exactly.
they just
I
kept
think the
going.
first one, yeah, the first one was based off true events. And then, bro, have you seen the latest one? It's like, dude, it's the most random shit ever. It's like,
Yeah, I think we watched
yeah,
it
yeah,
on
it's
Alex
like it's
Discord.
literally like black
Random
people
as
jumping.
fuck. But
Dude,
at the,
it's just so random.
at the end of the day, damn, I'm feeling this shit. Or anyway,
Wow, that
sorry.
was hella random, Kenny.
Yeah, I went straight to Kanye West.
Hashtag Kenny so random.
I'm surviving. All right. I was thinking earlier.
Low.
All
But
right.
yeah, no, I mean, okay, are the families even still alive of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre
I don't know. I don't know
situation?
when
Maybe
that was
not.
even set. I don't know when that took place.
Yeah.
Looking at the first movie, it looks like it was set in like the 60s or 70s. Like, it looks
It was
like,
60s around there, but
yeah.
I did
So,
like I said, back where I was going back to, because it's I don't know where exactly that whole trauma profiting came from. Um, it probably has been a thing,
Mm-hmm.
but you got to look at it in certain ways. Um, People always try to find the evil in a lot of things, no matter what it is. They always try to find the evil in a lot of things. So just that movie, I mean, that show, I didn't watch it because I don't really care to watch it.
Yeah,
But
me neither.
me seeing
yeah,
the
it's not
first
for me.
episode, like I was just like, yo, that's enough. Like that dude was going crazy. It was going buck wild. So it's just like, it was interesting. Like, I think I saw one of the scenes like on YouTube, right? It was like, and that was a really weird event. Like that shit's weird as fuck. That they killed they were executing. What was it? They were executing a killer. In jail, they were doing an injection to him.
Which one? There's a lot of them.
No. In Jeffrey,
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Dahmer. They did an execute. They were doing a lethal injection to one guy, and Jeffrey was getting baptized at the same time. And an eclipse happened at the exact same time that happened. And that shit. And when I heard that shit, I was like, that is a weird strain of events.
Also, wait a minute. No,
I
no,
want
that's
to.
dumb. That's dumb as fuck. No, no, hang on. No, I'm mad. No, do you know how ahead of time people can predict an eclipse?
I know that, but
Like,
no shit, Jock. But it's just the fact that just for that to all happen at one time is just I can see how that can just be weird. But
I just wanna make note that Kenny said lethal interjection. That's from Boondocks. Like
interjection.
I saw it and I wanted to respond immediately, but I couldn't because y'all was on a roll. I didn't want to interrupt. But lethal interjection. Got Alex, look at Alex. Look at him. He got a display
Look
back.
at
Welcome
him.
back. Everybody gave him a round of applause. He made it back. Yeah. Welcome to the podcast, Alex. You look stressed. But hey,
Welcome to the party.
just think about this. After this podcast, Gotham Knights.
Bro,
Gotham
he
Knights,
got that shit
Alex.
booted up right now in the background.
Yeah, he's probably playing it right now. Like, but yeah,
Like, this podcast, it could be ended right now.
yeah, he got the control. Yeah, but yeah. So
this podcast.
But yeah, so it's just like it's a weird thing, and social media doesn't help with pushing that agenda that people are profiting off of. All these studios, film studios, are profiting off of people with different trauma. I don't know where you can connect it at. I don't know if certain things got to fall in, like with the actor versus a documentary. I don't know if it's like that makes the distinction. Like I was saying earlier, the Black Panther people are saying they are trying to profit off his death. I disagree personally.
Yeah, the Black Panther thing is completely ridiculous.
Yeah, I
That's just
disagree
like,
with that personally. As y'all may or may not know, there's a lot of toxic T'Challa fans on my Twitter. Some I interact with, some I don't. I normally now just leave it be because I just don't want to. But I can rationalize. Actually, no, I can't. I'm lying. I don't know why I'm about to lie straight to your face. Yeah, like it's ridiculous. It's dumb.
It's all dumb. Like the only time I can say you're profiting off of someone's trauma is like if there is a way to make a person feel better, and you're just like they're going through something mentally, make a better feel better, and you're just like, okay, we can actually do this and make them feel better. You just constantly keep giving them pills and pills and pills and pills.
Yeah, manipulation and all that stuff. Yeah,
that's true. That's what I see as truly profiting off of someone's trauma.
well, then we can talk about the fucking kids that are overly medicated.
Topic, and I ain't got time for it. So
you gotta save Gotham.
Yeah, you gotta save Gotham.
But no, it's like, I mean, I don't know if you can dive into as far as medicating the kids on all this whatever medication.
I got time. I got time. These people ain't got time. I got so much time for that.
I got diagnosed with ADHD when I was a kid because I wasn't paying attention to the teacher that often. I was something else. My grandma told my mom straight from the start, the teacher's just fucking boring. That's why Kenny can't pay attention. When I went to high school, still suffered the same issue, had bad grades and everything. When I went to college and was actually learning something I actually cared about, I had a 2.3 GPA in high school. I had a 3.5.
I didn't know. That's great. I didn't know you had bad grades in high school.
I had bad grades.
I did too.
You can't tell.
I had bad grades too.
You can't fucking tell.
I had a 3.5 in college when I went to tech school. So that when my dad saw that, he was like, "Yeah, high school just probably wasn't for you." I was like, "It's not. It was boring."
You're 100% accurate in that, Kenny. Because when I went to ECPI too, I went years after you, but my GPA was like a 3 point something. Because like I'm invested financially and mentally, you know what I'm saying? So it's like that motivated me to actually give a fuck about what I'm studying. But it's just like
The only classes I had A's in high school was the tech classes. When we were in the computer class with Alex, when I was in the computer class with that, I had an A+ in that whole damn class. Every time he said do something with computer, bitch, I finished that shit quicker than most of the damn people in there.
And but you was always computer literate though. Like you was, you was always like.
Oh.
So when I went to college and I was all into a tech program, dog. The only reason my GPA dropped from a 4.0 is because I did not like networking. Networking was not my shit. So. That's the only reason why my thing dropped that low. But if I wouldn't have took networking, I would have had a 4.0.
Mm-hmm.
Straight up, 4.0 alumni. It's just so, but so it's just like, that's ADHD is funny. They stopped putting so much onto it. Back in my time, they did a lot. They were taking medicine and stuff like that, and all that medicine did was just make your ass depressed and fucking sad.
Oh, it didn't just do that, my guy. It doesn't just do that. No, okay, so.
Well, that was back in my time.
Yeah, no, but that's our time. Kenny, you're not that much older than me.
No, yeah. He's about like 10 years older than you, I'm sure.
Thank you, God.
Yeah. No, I'm actually 22. Yeah, no. But no. It back in our time, there was like some wild shit going on. Okay, so first of all, like that medication is like it's a clinical version of meth. And like here's the thing. If you generally have like an attention disorder, it will help. If you don't have it, is when shit starts to get weird. And the issue with like overdiagnosing kids with it is like it's a kid. Okay, like their neuroplasticity is incredibly high. They're super vulnerable to everything. Everything will fucking influence them. Fucking everything you tell them will influence them. And like, there's something really sleazy about the fact that like they just look for kids. And by the way, the number of people who like slip through the cracks, like genuinely have ADHD or something like that, that slip through the cracks and just have a time in high school and no one can figure out why, like, is staggering. It's actually really interesting. Like, on one hand, you have a whole bunch of kids that just slip through the cracks. They have bad grades and no one fucking knows why. And then you have kids who is just like they just have a shitty teacher and then they just get put on tests for no goddamn reason. Like, it's amazing. Like, that's the situation we live in. It's like, wow, you fucked up on both ends of this. Congratulations. It's almost like your purpose is not to help the kids.
So, Alex, since you're in a better mood, do you have anything you wish to add to
Has he
this?
just been playing Gotham Knights the whole time?
Yeah, because his eyes been darting back and forth across the screen, so I'm assuming that's what he's doing.
Reading.
So,
What's up, mics?
huh? Wait, what?
Okay. No, I've just been listening the whole time for it. A lot to talk, going backwards from the methamphetamine. Yeah, it's just a different derivative of methamphetamine, just chemically modified. But past that, no, I mean, I find it's pretty interesting. As a society, we kind of treat ADHD. My guy.
That shit come through my mind today.
My guy, yes. Anyway, it's interesting how severely we try and treat ADHD, but literally no other condition. Like that's the thing that gets me. Like ADHD is definitely not the worst thing in the world, nor is it gonna like completely screw you up like that. But all the extra things that we do for it will like jack you up. Like all the overprescription medication, things like that. But it's a profit in it. So
there's so much profit in it, and it's kids, so like they're gonna probably think they need to be on it their whole lives.
Yeah, and then you get taught as an adult for these parents who have children like that. Adults are sitting here like thinking it's the worst thing in the world. They're gonna have like a kid that has ADHD.
Yeah, they think the kids have a terrible life. Like so much guilting the parent too, into like being like, "Oh, do you want them to have a good future?"
Yeah, that goes into abortion too, with like a tactics that are used for that as well. So there's so much in it that kind of leads through a lot of different paths. What's up?
ADHD, I still have it as it is. People always say, "Oh, you can't focus on a lot of things and blah blah blah." And it's like, yeah, I can't. You're right. But the thing is that if I'm really into something, I can focus the fuck out of it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I'm not gonna say ADHD is not real, right? But logically speaking, if you don't care about something, you're not gonna focus on it.
You're not gonna focus on it.
Exactly.
So that's just a weird thing to me.
And the thing
and also like it's not what you see on TikTok, right? So like every neurodiversity, right? Every mental condition, it's just not the fucking memes that you see on TikTok where it's just like, oh my god, it's that. Oh, I'm so random, so I'm a spasm. All of that shit is completely inaccurate. Like that's probably one of the worst things actually about all of that. So like all the depression memes, all the bipolar memes, like none of those conditions are actually like that. Like they're all just like I think I might misremember this, but I think ADHD has to do with more so your ability to like click your focus between different things. So like if a lot of things are going on at the same time and they all have the same value to you, then you don't know which one to pick and you just keep clicking through all of them. But if something does have like value to you, then you can hyper focus on it and then you just like shut off everything else. Like I think that's how it works, but that also just sounds like something a normal person would do, but taken to like an extreme.
I can go into it because I actually have it. So the thing is like the one things that suffer from people that have ADHD, we have a severe procrastination. That shit is bad. So, but the thing is that we procrastinate. So it's funny how it's like a weakness and a strength. We have a major procrastination. We will procrastinate anything at the last minute, like maybe a month or 2 weeks. But when that thing comes up, we will fucking hammer the shit out of it. And it's just
like all of a sudden you have superpowers for like
it's ridiculous.
I must got ADHD then. 'Cause-
Because
Okay, but that's
so
the thing,
it's
right?
funny
It's
because
like-
people will be like people are like the one thing I knew like after I did research on this stuff when I took my security plus because it takes people 3 months months to do a security plus and people were just like yeah how long did it take you to get your security plus I was like well I had my security plus like the 301 version but my shit expired and I was just like oh fuck and my job company was doing an audit and they were like hey you got to get your security plus in 2 weeks or you're going to get fired. And I was like, well, fuck. So I got that bitch in 2 weeks. And people are like, how the fuck did you do that? I was like, 88, like my like I was putting 8 hours, sometimes 16 hours in a day of studying just to get that damn
I
thing
mean,
done.
in that scenario, it's either you can be on the street or
No, there's some people would just let that shit go.
No,
Just
some
go
people
find a
can't do
job.
that. No, yeah, some people
I
like
mean,
you put them
okay.
under that kind of pressure, they're gonna explode. Like, yeah, that's the thing is like some people can't actually handle that pressure, and like a lot of the times those people with ADHD who like can do shit like that. Like I know plenty of people who it's like if you put them under that kind of pressure, like they have like the opposite. They have like a
Like, what are you looking
like a high anxiety disorder, for example, right? Where it's like you put them under that kind of pressure, and like that's it, man. They just lost 2 weeks of their life. Like they can't, you know.
Heather in the chat, she says farm tech here. The medications for ADHD are chemical cousins of meth and cocaine. And the parents are often caught in the middle because they want their child or children to do well, but get demonized for medicating their child or children. Back in college, I knew people who sold ADHD drugs for people who wanted them the week before an exam so they could pass. Speaking of pharmacy, Alex, I don't know if you're legally can talk about it. I don't know, but I mean, either way, what have you seen pharmaceutical or I don't know if I'm going too far by saying pharmaceutical companies, but how often do you see medications that were profiteering off of things that was not even necessary to profit off of, if that makes sense? Am I making sense?
Just another day. The easiest comparison I can give you is, so you know how people have an unhealthy relationship with food, such as the obesity crisis?
Yes.
It's not too far-fetched to believe that people also have the same unhealthy addiction with medications.
No,
Think of it in that light. I would say, to be honest with you, it's probably a direct equivalent to it. That many people who can't control their food addictions are the same people who can't control their medication addictions, or the people who always have to try something new, medicinal-wise or drug-wise. I mean, it's all the same thing. It's just words that make you feel better, whether you want to use medicine or drugs. Just different connotations between it. For example, like alcohol is a drug, but everyone always gets confused when I call it a drug, but it is.
I mean, but that's what we taught. It is.
It is a drug. It's just the connotation behind saying medicine, which is more society approved, than saying drug, which has that negative connotation to it. But in essence, with it, to go back to the point Heather made with like people selling methamphetamine or the medicines to pass and things like that, the parents are caught in between. Not only they caught in between just the fact of like, do I medicate them or not? It's the whole societal pressure as well of just saying things like, okay, the culture of the moment says I should medicate my child because that's the right thing to do and that's what makes me a good parent. Versus you actually, being the parent and realizing my kid doesn't need that. They just need discipline. My kid doesn't need that. They just need a healthy outlet. My kid doesn't need that. He just needs X, Y, Z else. Like there's so many other ways to treat things other than just medicine, but medicine is the easiest way to treat it. Hey, just take this pill and things will be better. Yeah. Boom. Now I don't have to invest time and effort in actually doing things or finding clubs or building a community for these people to have outlets on. You just give them a pill, you move on your life. So as far as like seeing it in pharmacy all the time, I mean, even like the more illicit things, I told you the story about me having the conversation with an FBI agent that was coming to investigate a couple of different things with prescriptions and, forging of some of these prescriptions, known as C2s or controlled medications. There's all different categories of controlled medications. But no, all this stuff's abused all the time. All the time. People abuse, that's really the biggest, like, they always tell you things. It's pretty funny to me. Everything kind of goes back to like religion, in some essence, where it's like every single country or every single area, every single avenue dealt with like a deadly sin. And obviously ours would be like gluttony for the most part and just the overindulgence of so many things. which will eventually be the downfall of like the masses. And that's what we're seeing here. I always tell you, I'm waiting for the obesity crisis to kick off, for people to really realize what's going on if we make it that far down the line. But it's not getting any better medical wise.
Is there anything when you were in pharmacy?
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you could do to like educate the people on the receiving end of those medications about it, or do you just do your job and just let them, or can't, like, not use you in particular, but people that's in that situation? Like, what would you suggest they do? Would you suggest they try to educate them, like, hey, this is not good for you, this is XYZ, or do you just stay out, mind your business?
Legally, as a pharm tech, you cannot give counsel. That's a pharmacist's job. That's a pharmacist's position to give counsel on that. So legally, we can't do anything. If we give any sort of knowledge like that, that could risk our license. That could risk our certification. So legally, we can't do anything. We just shake our heads, nods, and there you go. And if they ask anything, we have to get our pharmacist to inquire about it, or for them to answer about that. Which is obviously wildly different from many other fields. But in the medical field, at least for pharmacy techs, you're not able to do that.
Have you seen any pharmacists stand up and say, hey, this is not good for you?
Oh, all the time.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, the thing is, like, what do you tell someone when their doctor in the rest of the world and culture says, hey, take this pill, it'll make you feel better, and they have this one random pharmacist in some retail place of, like, let's say a CVS or Walgreens, and you're like, whatever, you're at some rundown CVS. What do you know in comparison to my doctor who's in this lavish estate over here that makes blah, blah, blah. So, it's a debate of classism at that as well, because people still to this day don't think pharmacists have like their MD. Like, they don't understand like the level of education schooling that pharmacists go through to put them at equal, or if not above, education level of that doctor.
It's almost as equal as a doctor, right?
Yes. Yeah. The funny thing is that some of the nurses are actually know more than the damn doctor. The doctor is good at, the one thing that doctor is good at is, correct me if I'm wrong, performing surgeries.
It just depends.
Yeah,
doctor also. Yeah, if you're going to a generalist, think of the easiest way to think of it, especially because you're IT, think of it as let's say a hub for all your programs. Before you go in to get your access for all these other programs, we gotta set you up to this one specific account so that you can access all these things. That's what the doctor is. The doctor's gonna look at you and say, all right, you don't need access to Microsoft Word or PowerPoint. You need access to Visio. Here's your Visio certification so that you have the security permissions to go do Visio stuff. That's what the doctor's job is. Now, what gets messed up is, let's say the doctor's like, hey, for your role as a marketer, yeah, you actually don't need Excel. You just need PowerPoint. And then they send you out in the world. You're like, dude, for some reason, I'm failing even though I'm doing all the right things. But that person will never know that the reason they're failing is because they actually just need access to Microsoft Excel. That's how it is, and that's how it works. But the thing is, it's been failing so miserably because we're so understaffed in so many different areas that no one can actually be expected to do any appropriate work. And that's just across the medical field in general.
Yeah, it's been bad in the IT field too.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting to that point, but the thing is, in the IT field, you're widely compensated for not even a third of what people in the medical field need.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's nothing, and once again, I never throw a slight at people who are in the field of IT based on what they make, but obviously we have a cultural issue as far as what we value in society and what we feel should be paid that amount versus what we actually need.
Yeah, I will take a little look at that map.
Yeah, I will say. So yeah, I mean, that's just the way things are crumble. I noticed this early when I went for my EMS degree, and I was like, oh, wow, people at McDonald's make more than me with a certification to try and save someone's life. We as a society don't value that.
At that moment, is that when you decided a career change? When you realized?
Oh, yeah. When I got all the way, I was like, I just want all these skills in case something happens to me. But I'm like, no, I can't be a part of a society like this.
Yeah.
Not in this capacity. It's like, no.
I chose the IT field because, I'm good at computers. But on top of that, a lot of people also do the same thing. It's just that we get compensated for it. A lot of people don't do the same thing with IT. Technically, everybody's just like, yeah, you don't do nothing. I'm like, all right, bitch, don't ask me for nothing.
Shit.
And when something break, I don't do nothing, homie. Good luck.
So, So is they
And the thing,
go ahead.
and the thing is, it's like the same thing with medical. I wish the medical people would get paid as much as the people in IT because they honestly they do. They deserve it. But I think it's going to make a change because of how much medical IT positions there are coming up now. Because those people in the medical, I get asked questions for like, let's say, say like you have 2 years to 1 year in IT, right? But you have 4 years in like medical, right? You could go and be like I forgot what they're called. There's a term for IT medical. I forgot what they. The motherfuckers made 80 from the jump, like straight from the jump. I know more than them in IT, but they know more than me in health, and that outweighs everything because they just know more in the health field. So it's making a change because they're starting to get merged with IT, and I'm happy for that because it's giving people more stuff to look into. But it's also pissing me off because I have to learn fuck ton more shit now. So it's like two sides of the coin. While it's like in the IT field, all they have to learn is Active Directory, PowerPoint, Active Directory, the workflows of the healthcare and everything like that, and all that stuff. While it's like on my side, if I want to get in one, I have to learn about the radiology workflows, cardiology workflows. All I have never seen that shit a day in my motherfucking life. And I don't know what the heck that looked like.
One thing I can say, at least we ain't talking about crackheads this time.
I was just thinking how we got off topic as I was thinking
fine.
like
I mean, we were done with the first topic.
like
We just
fields and
jumped
shit. Yeah,
But-
oh no, we can keep talking about like weird shit in our fields. Like in my field right now with AI coming, that's like a new big skill. It's like you have to learn how to use AI because like everyone's using AI for shit to make art, and it's just like I don't find it that interesting in most categories. Like I'm waiting for 3D AI to be a thing because I think that's going to be interesting. But it's just like, oh, hey, like here's a computer that paints like a college kid that is like trying to riff off like their hero. That's not that interesting to me. Like I understand why people find it fascinating, but like to actually use it in the workforce, I'm like, it's too early. What are you guys doing?
So anybody else have closing remarks on how the man is keeping us down by profiteering off of our trauma?
Yeah, not really. I'm basically done. I'm done with the first topic. Like the whole property, trauma and property, it only reaches out to a certain thing for me. So is that your mom? So it only reaches out a certain thing to me. So to me, it's not the same thing. Like what people are thinking of. Like when it comes to medication, yes, those things can be profiting off that. But everybody else is saying, "Oh yeah, they're making profit off this film." Man, you get that bullshit out of my face, man.
I'm glad you was able to get that off your chest.
Yeah, it's the same thing with everything else. Like I was like, everybody's just trying to make a thing out of everything. And
I definitely agree with that. People just want to be mad just for the sake of being mad.
Yeah, just want to be mad. Just be mad, bitch. If you want to be mad, go to war, bitch. There you go. You can be mad all you want.
Kenny, calm down, Kenny. Calm down.
That's how you relieve your anger. Take your last to war, shoot somebody, and then come back with PTSD and be fucked up.
Wow. And then they really gonna profit off of your ass then, huh? That's how we bring it full circle. That's how we do it, full circle.
That's something we could have talked about, like war movies, as another example.
I mean, it kind of, but you can kind of put all that because like it's made for entertainment. You don't hear about
like it glorifies a life that will give you permanent PTSD. Like, dude, have you seen Hurt Locker?
No, I never care for. I don't care for war movies in general. Except I like Black Hawk Down.
It's not a war movie.
Black Hawk Down was a good movie. Really good movie. Sad as fuck though.
Yeah, Hurt Locker is a movie about he's a guy who professionally disarms bombs, and at one point he gets PTSD, and I'm not gonna go too far into it. The ending scene is one of like the best representations of how PTSD works I've ever seen. Though, he's in the store, and he needs to buy cereal. And he's looking at the cereal, he's looking at all the options that he has for cereal. He freezes. And this sounds like a nothing scene, but like what's happening is like when your life is in danger, like I don't know if you guys remember like the last time you had like a big adrenaline rush, like when your life is in danger and like you're like it's life and death, decisions are clear as fuck. Like you do not experience hesitation when you're doing something and like is risking your life. And like when you acclimate to that, and like when that's like your life, all of a sudden, like being in a situation, because what's happening is that like it doesn't fucking matter what cereal he chooses, and like that is enough to just like shock him and like fuck him up, because like that's how fucked his brain is from like the PTSD. It's like he literally just like he almost needs to be in danger to function now. Yeah, so that was like fucking good ass.
Yeah, they call them adrenaline junkies. You'll find a lot of them in the medical field as well. They do a lot of these crazy roles or high pressure roles because it brings them that adrenaline that they need.
Yeah, they need that shit to function.
Happens all the time.
All right. Well, this concludes this episode of the Blerd Talk podcast. We were talking about trauma, profiteering. Blerd Talk podcast streaming on all platforms, bruv. It's gonna be linked in the description and all that stuff. Blah 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 blah.
Shoot all platforms, bro.
So on and so forth. We're done here. We're some of us gonna play Gotham Knights. So
I couldn't know where that was gonna play Gotham.
yeah, we're gonna say Gotham.
The vast majority of you.
But yeah, so thank you for the people who are going to listen, who did listen. Thank you, Princess Nubia, for tuning in and offering your input. Yeah, we're gone. We're out of here.